I'm going to announce the objectives to all the teams. Okay, I'm just kind of pasting it in here and stuff. Okay. So I pasted in all of these. Okay, we did get a new follower. STFU K thanks. STFU K thanks. Thank you so much for the follow. Appreciate it. Okay guys, so I did announce all of the objectives to both teams. Okay, so I'm gonna announce it to you. So the theme of this game is skateboarding. Okay. Anything to do with skateboarding, whatever. Here are the 5 objectives. They need to create a horizontal scrolling website. That's objective number 1. Objective number 2. They need to create presentation slides without using a presentation library. So everything kind of has to be custom over here. Also, objective 3. They need to create they need to make they need to add a scroll jacking feature in full screen with animation. If you guys don't know what that means, it's like when you scroll on your mouse wheel and it, like, you know, jumps to the next frame. Dark Faith, I did host DevWars on my Syntax channel as well. Oh, by the way, that reminds me, if you guys are watching on the Syntax channel, you are on the wrong channel. Okay, and then the 4th objective is they need to create a side navigation bar that's to the left. And last but not least, they need to add a repeating background. It shouldn't be too hard to do that. Okay, and then we do have a bonus objective. It's to animate repeating. You need to be able to animate that repeating background to move seamlessly in any direction. Yes. So that's it right there. Those are the objectives. Okay. So it looks like we're gonna get ready over here and start the game. So I'm gonna do the countdown. Here we go. So 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. Let's get it started, guys. Let's get it started. There is a 5-second countdown before the actual game starts. That's just to give both teams enough time to respond to the countdown. And so we already got it started over here. I pasted the objectives in there, but it's up to them if they want to delete it, comment it out. It's up to them. You know, the whole point of this game is to make sure that you are completing all 5 objectives. And the only way to get, okay, so each objective is worth 1 point, just 1. And the bonus point is worth 1 point as well, but you can't get the bonus point unless you complete all 5 objectives. So unless you are planning to complete all 5 objectives, there's no point in trying to complete the bonus objective, if that makes any sense. If I confuse some of you guys, just let me know. So to the bottom right, you guys can see them kind of communicating over here. Okay, so just so you guys know for future reference, we are gonna, you guys see how there's like 2 little live preview boxes here? We're actually gonna remove that, and we're gonna actually have it to where I'm gonna be in probably this box, and we're gonna utilize this window for everything related to the game. So yeah, something to look out for in the future. So we have the HTML structure starting to be built on both teams. They're both kind of, no one's really ahead of one another. JavaScript is starting to create some functions on the red team. Just has the function open. Doesn't really know what to do yet. I think he's just kind of waiting for some stuff. But I do want to remind you guys, even though their HTML hasn't been built or anything like that, they can still do things to during this time. Like for example, red team already took the liberty of writing this function out. I mean, there's nothing in it, but I mean, at least he did something in there. It takes time to write that, and he did it. But there's still even more things you can do, so you don't necessarily have to wait for everything. can my moderators make sure that the Kyo Disaster, thanks for the follow. Welcome to DevWars. Okay, so can one of my moderators just make sure on the blue team, it looked like JavaScript made a copy and paste. Just make sure that wasn't a copy and paste, and remind both teams of the rules for DevWars, because most of these players are actually new. I think the only one who's played before was Custodian, and the rest are new players. Well, and maybe Danny actually. Yes, those are the links for the game. Thank you for posting that. So I'm actually gonna open that up, get it ready in both tabs so that we can see the live preview action in the future. So over here on the red team, they have the resets in here. So they're targeting HTML and body, and they're just saying, hey, on HTML and body, we want 0 padding and 0 margin, and that's what we call a reset. The purpose of a reset is to make it so that, because by default, if you don't add this and you go to the website, there's gonna be like this margin of white space that's just surrounding your website, and you don't want that. Generally, you don't want that. If you want that, you're kind of weird. But I mean, I don't know. It's up to you. So it's always good to have those resets in there, just because every browser kind of has their own way of handling things. All right. Interesting. So I find it interesting how blue team hasn't commented out the objectives and stuff. I wonder if they're gonna make the objectives and everything part of the website. That would be kind of different. Okay. So over here, looks like we do have creation of these slides, because there has to be 5 presentation slides, and the way it works is they also have to make it. They have to add a scroll jacking feature so that when you scroll, it'll shoot you over to the next slide. And over here on the red team, it looks like we see a function, okay, so in the function we have a variable called slides, and that's just simply targeting the class that we're seeing over here. For the past many games, I noticed that the very first thing the CSS player wrote was the all selector and then add a box sizing border box. Found that interesting and began to do it for all ever since. Yeah, man, I mean, I thought that was interesting too. I'm glad that you guys are learning stuff. I mean, we're seeing developers from all over the world code in their own way. I mean, you guys can see in here, I mean, there's different ways of writing code. Like, there's not one way to do it. There's not a right or wrong. Generally, there's a way you want to do things, and that's what I'm hoping you guys, because like over here, they're using article. You know, they're using these article tags. We don't see article tags over here. And over here we see nav tags, but then again, we don't see nav tags over here. So, I mean, it's like, I'm hoping you guys are taking advantage of this opportunity and, you know, ask questions. I mean, we have developers in here. We have professionals in here who can answer your questions to whatever problems you're having in your current project and stuff like that. So this is cool stuff. It looks like we are adding resets over here on the blue team as well. Some interesting ones. Okay, and then over here we do have, this is even more interesting. We're targeting not only all, but we're targeting all the pseudo classes and all the after classes to have box sizing border box. Yeah, and for those of you guys who don't know what border box is, it pretty much makes it so that when you're adding additional padding or borders, for instance, I mean the whole point of it is borders. So for example, let's say you have a you have 2 columns, and each is occupying 50% of the web page. So you have 50% here and 50% here, right? Well, in theory, if you added a border to it, it'll actually not be 50% anymore. It'll actually have to drop. So in order to keep those columns right where they are and add a border to it without changing the overall width to surpass 50%, you add box sizing border box, and that's going to allow it so that, hey, okay, I'm going to add a border, but since this is 50% width, it's actually going to add it on the interior of the actual box. So that's why we do border box. Okay, so this is what they have so far, guys. We're only 9 minutes in, pretty much 8 minutes in, so not much to see here just yet. So the theme here is skateboarding. And then we have over here the, okay, awesome. So here's their presentations taking place. You have tricks, skateboarding. Okay. Let's see down here. Yeah, they're adding it over here. So they're using UL tags. Okay, so that'll work. Oh, yeah, I mean, if you guys are... I'm glad I was able to clarify what box sizing is. Okay, so, wow, look at this, guys. Over here, we're setting the width based on viewport width. So that's going to create a dynamic website. So depending on how big the width of the website is how big this horizontal scroll bar will be. We're using those units over here, whereas opposed to Blue Team, they're using percentages, which works too. And you guys do see some chat messages going off to the right. For those of you guys who don't know, who weren't here for the pregame, Jay, handling JavaScript on the red team, was not able to actually connect to TeamSpeak, so they're going to have to compensate for that using the chat at the bottom. Alright guys, so 49 minutes left on the clock, essentially 50 minutes. We're only about 10 minutes in, and a lot has been accomplished in that amount of time. I mean, really. Okay. So let's see if they've imported any fonts or anything like that. I'm not seeing any font imports from Blue Team. Let's see, what about Red Team? No, I do see a library though for their jQuery. And no font imported over here on the Red Team either. And guys, just a fun little fact. Typography is actually considered about 90%, 80 to 90% of web design. So I mean, like, taking that into perspective, it's like, wow, if 80 to 90% of web design is based on typography, then you would assume that typography is important, right? Am I right? So then that means, you know, selecting the right font, selecting the right size, the right weight, everything, all of that matters. So that's why I think it's important, especially if they want to get a good web design. If they want to score high on web design, they probably should think about typography. DevWars, you said we can ask anything, so mind answering what the lower bound of HTML compression is? Might need to calculate it. What the heck are you asking me? Are you trying to confuse me and make my brain explode? There's certain questions I just can't answer, guys. I'm not Einstein over here. I don't know everything. But I know it's a joke. Megaless is a troll. Most of my viewers are a troll. I just kind of get used to it, you know. We see over here, it's just kind of weird. Hey, one of my moderators, can you pop into the blue team and figure out what's going on? They're like selecting their code, deleting it, and then pasting it back. Can you make sure what's going on over there? Because they look kind of suspicious. I don't really know if I like that. I don't know if they're up to something. Yeah, they're doing it again. It's really suspicious. I don't think we should have that going on. See, what I'm afraid of is they're making changes and then pasting it. I don't know. What's going on over here? Don't do that. Yeah, one of my moderators, pop into whoever's handling blue team. Yeah, make sure they stop doing whatever they're doing. I don't like it. It makes me feel weird. Okay, let's see what they have so far. Okay, they got their navigation bar in here. And I'm just gonna resize it. Yeah, see how it's shrinking? And that's all because of that VW unit that they used. Okay, so yeah, I mean, not very much going on. Can somebody answer Xfrito's question? It's just too long for me to read here on stream. I'm not sure if my moderators are hearing me right now. I'm gonna have to just do it myself. I'm not sure. Oh, it's a C9 problem. Okay. Alright. I'm not sure, you know, if people are coming up with new creative ways to, you know, get their advantage over here, because as DevWars progresses, there is a strategy involved. Okay, here we go. We got the code back here. Kind of strange stuff. Okay. So, okay. So they're kind of using VW as if there were percentages over here. Which is pretty interesting. They have their horizontal scroll bar fixed. I think this is interesting. I've never seen someone write it like that. I kind of like it. It makes sense to me to write it like that. But, because normally I put every single statement and property on its own line. But they figured, well, these kind of are related, so we'll just put. I'm not sure if he like forgot to add a you know, a line break here, but I'm sure he did this intentionally. It kind of looks clean, doesn't it? I'm in love with the go-go. I'm in love. Okay. Yeah, I'm not sure why they're not using, I mean, there's different ways you could go about it. Yeah. Yeah, so VW is the viewport width, and VH is viewport height. I normally use VW and VH on fonts and typography, but the life of a lonely skateboard What a beautiful title over here on the red team. Okay, everything's like highlighted over here. All right. So everybody kind of waiting on their HTML, I'm assuming, before they add more styles. So the way this game works is, you know, pretty much CSS and JavaScript can't really do very much without their HTML, because HTML is kind of like the drums of music. So what I mean by that is, like, everybody is tuned to the drummer. So like you have your pianist, you have your guitarist, you have your singers. Everybody's tuning to the beat of the drummer. So it's not, so in this case it's like you have your JavaScript and you have your CSS, and they're both tuning to their HTML. So whatever structure they create, they have to adjust their code into their HTML. So for example, we see over here in the HTML, they created a div class called slide over here, so they have to have this over here. They have to target it there. They can't call it whatever they want, because that's not what was declared over here in their HTML. So yeah. We have our moderator Fox_2 who just joined us. Welcome. Totally underestimating bass. Well, bass has to tune to drummers as well, because if everybody tunes to, like, if the singers say, okay, let's say the pianist tunes to the drummer, and then the singer tunes to the, and then the bass tunes to the pianist, and then the singers tune to the bass, then everything's gonna be out of order. It's just gonna be complete chaos. Okay, guys, so 20 minutes left on the clock. Not too much has been done, but I mean, only 20 minutes have gone by still, obviously. We still have like a lot of time left on the clock for stuff to happen. I don't see very much JavaScript action going on over here in the blue team. Do we have any fonts imported in here just yet? I don't see any fonts anywhere. We do have a 1 vs 1 game after this, so if you guys are interested in playing in 1v1, if you guys like the way this is going and stuff like that, head on over to devwars.tv/play, and that's going to allow you to, you know, play in the next game. All right. So we have, so this slides class right here is gonna be the container for all of the slides, and they're setting it to 90 VW. So, and we did see earlier they had 10 VW over here on the width for this. So what that's saying is essentially, okay, 90% of the view width port is going to be occupied by slides class. And then in here we have classes for each individual slide, and they're going to occupy 100% of this width of the slides container of their parent, and that's what this is implying over here. And then essentially 100% here, and then margin left 10 VW. Okay, and the purpose of that is just to give some space between that and the navigation bar between each slide. So these are cool things they're doing over here on the red team. Let's see how it looks though. Let's see if they have anything for us to see. Okay, wonderful. One of the objectives, guys, is for them to actually be able to make this a horizontal scrolling website. So let's find out if they're going to be able to do this. Okay, I mean, they do have some horizontal scrolling action here, but that's only because the website is, you know, well, the image is bigger than the actual website. That's only because of the image, but they're gonna have to add it later. I'm gonna read off the objectives to you guys for those of you who are just now tuning in. So the theme is skateboarding. The objectives are to, 1, create a horizontal scrolling website. The second objective is to add presentation slides without using a presentation library. The third objective is to add a scroll jacking feature in full screen with animation. And what scroll jacking is pretty much when you scroll, it'll shoot you to the next slide. So it's not like where you scroll like this. It's not going to work like this. Where essentially it should work when you scroll. It'll shoot you to this, right? But it'll be in full screen. And you scroll again, and it'll shoot you over here, shoot you over here. You guys get the picture here. That's what scroll jacking is. And then the fourth objective is to add a side navigation bar to the left, and we already see that over here on the red team. And then their fifth objective is to add a repeating background. And if they complete all 5 of these objectives, then they're going to be able to actually complete the bonus objective, and that'll give them an extra point if they do that. And that's simply, the bonus objective is to simply add, to animate the repeating background that they added in their 5th objective to move seamlessly in any direction. So that's the bonus objective. Let's see what the blue team has done. Refreshing their page. Man, not very much. I mean, they need to work a bit quicker if they want to get some stuff done. You guys can see, I'm just kind of zooming in to see like how the page responds to everything. So yeah, but they are doing a fantastic job already, it seems, with the text going inside of there. Okay, so let's see what they're working on right now. So it looks to me like he's currently in his H1 selector. He's about to target all the H1s on the website. Since it's not a very specific style, but if in this case if he wants to target only H1 tags, then that's totally fine, because we do see quite a number of those. Actually, I only see 1 being used, 2, but they're probably gonna have 1 for each slide. Okay, we have transitions added over here on the red team in the slides. Wonderful. And it's a transform. Okay. And then they're using flex. Nice. For their horizontal scroll bar. Beautiful, beautiful stuff. I like this. You can definitely tell that Custodian knows what he's doing. Okay, we have a background being added over here onto the white view class, which is what the entire slide is wrapped around. So I'm assuming all of them are going to have the same background. 500% width, that's kind of a lot, but obviously they're creating a horizontal scrolling website, so that's probably their way of handling it. Here we go, guys. I don't see the width of the website moving past that. Do we have any overflow hidden? Yes, we have overflow hidden, so he's probably going to want to get rid of that unless he doesn't want a horizontal scrolling website, which I'm sure that's not what they want, because that is another point. And keep in mind, guys, they don't actually have to complete all 5 objectives, but if they complete, say, 4 objectives, then they're only going to be able to get 4 points at the most, obviously, whereas opposed to they're missing out on 2 points. They're missing out on their 5th objective, and they're missing out on their bonus objective. You can go to Code Academy. That's a good website. If you're all about hands-on learning. Google is also a great website. Okay. So we're using float on this nav slide. Let me find that. Where is this nav slide? Okay. Okay, so what this is, guys, right here, nav slide. This is a way for them to see, to pick what slide they're gonna go, and I don't think they have it's pretty much a controller. I'm not sure if they have one over here. This might even just be their navigation bar, but it looks like they're actually making it so that when you click it, it'll actually take you to the slide. Whereas opposed to Red Team, it looks like they're just creating some mock data inside of this navigation tag. That's fine too. It wasn't one of the requirements, but I like the idea behind Blue Team. We don't see any crazy styles over here on the Blue Team. Okay, we have some overflow properties being added to the Red Team CSS of hidden. That's coffee right there. I'm drinking coffee for sure. Guys, I see more coffee than baristas. That's how much coffee I drink a day. Okay, so we have definitely a lot more JavaScript in here on the Red Team. However, on the Blue Team, it's just kind of looking... I don't know. They're definitely getting stuff done over here, but it all depends on how fast JavaScript is on the Blue Team, because they are kind of taking their time with everything. Okay. I wonder what HTML is working on at this very moment. We do see him doing stuff, which is good. So each of these article tags are gonna encase a slide. Whereas on the Red Team, they're actually importing. I mean, they're utilizing div tags for to contain their slides, which is fine too. Okay, let's see what they have so far on their actual website. Okay. So still kind of scrolling. Oh, guys, check this out right here. So Blue Team has their JavaScript working to where you can do this. Take a look at that, guys. We have a side-scrolling website. Whereas on the Red Team, it is still standard vertical scrolling website. Now, what they're going to have to work on the Blue Team now is making it so it snaps, you know, accordingly. By scrolling it all. This is called what they call a and we do have some it's kind of disappearing the image over here, but yeah, that's what they call scroll jacking. Let's go back over here. Man, I don't know, like it looks like Red has more accomplished, but if you look at the Blue Team, I mean, they have as much objectives accomplished as the Red Team. So, I mean, Red Team isn't really that far ahead. Alright, so now let's see what's going on in this code. So they're targeting the presentation class. Let's see where the presentation class is in their HTML document. Right here. Okay. So pretty much it's like the slide class. It's pretty much the slide class like they have on the Red Team right here. It's essentially what that is, just with a different name. And that's 30% width. I find that kind of interesting. but they're probably okay. Yeah, they're probably doing that to go in conjunction with their 500% width over here, and they did get rid of that. No, they didn't get rid of the overflow hidden on the wrapper, but I think that's getting overwritten by JavaScript anyways. Okay. Now we do see these are now anchor tags. They weren't before, they were just spans. Yeah, they added anchor tags inside of here. So they're gonna need to target that in the CSS document to get rid of those default styles. If they want to keep the white text look to it, then they're gonna have to select the anchor tag in their CSS. Over here on red team, it looks like they're doing some work up in here. I need more coffee, obviously. Yeah, they're doing some work in here. And this is gonna handle their scroll. Nice. Beautiful. And they have their translate. They're translating using transform. And we did see earlier we have a transition in the CSS, so that's gonna create a smooth transition as you're going between each slide. We finally have a font imported over here on the red team. Guys, look at this. We're importing a JavaScript library from Cloudflare. And they're using Roboto. I love that font face. It's a really good one. We don't see any fonts imported on the blue team. It seems like just kind of judging them from what I'm seeing here. Nice. Okay, so we do have, I like this. On the red team, they have a really nice, the difference between red team and blue team here. Well, okay, first of all, blue team, you can scroll just fine. You're scrolling and it'll take you left and right. But the confusing thing about it is that you have this scroll bar that looks like you're gonna be scrolling vertically, but you're not. Whereas on the red team, they have the scroll bar at the bottom and they don't have a scroll bar to the right. So that helps you kind of psychologically understand that this is a horizontal scrolling website. Now, the thing about red team though, right now you can't actually, if I'm scrolling up and down, it won't work. So they're gonna need to sort that out with JavaScript to where the up and down mouse wheel will scroll horizontally. But yeah, it is coming along. So look at the names of these. The life of a lonely skateboard. No, look at that skateboard. Some days I just sit around and reflect on what it all means. Why am I a skateboard? I tried to do sweet tricks and got a sweet trick and got hurt. So just some funny slides in here. I think it's funny how blue team made the objectives part of the website. And they may have done that just temporarily so that everybody can see that in the live preview. I think that's an interesting way of going about it. I've never seen that done before. Z, I don't know how to say your name, man. I don't know if it's like a name you would read. Zkernivek. I'm just gonna call you Z. Okay, Z. We have thought about doing like somewhat of a workshop where beginners and stuff would essentially earn points, because the way we're gonna have to do it in the future is you're not gonna be able to play DevWars unless you have a certain amount of points. So it depends on your standings in DevWars that determines if you're going to be playing or not, or it also determines your skill level, because right now we're kind of leaving it up to our viewers to evaluate themselves and determine their skill level, whether or not they're a beginner, intermediate, or an expert. But I mean, obviously that system is flawed, because we've had it in the past where, you know, we have people who claim they're even an expert when clearly in the game they had some stuff they needed to know. So I mean, we're gonna be sorting that out based off points in the future. So I don't see a selector for the anchor tag just yet in the red team. I think it's interesting how they're using classes to target the different presentation boxes. Normally you're gonna want to have IDs for specific tags, or you know, something that you only use once. Classes are generally things you would use multiple times, so it makes sense to make this a class, for instance, but I think it would make more sense to make this an ID. And they do have an ID here. They do have IDs in here, so they essentially could have just used the ID. They didn't need to have a class over here on the blue team. They have an additional class, and it looks like they're, yeah. So that's that. Now what about over here? Okay, so they're targeting every single image inside of the slide class, and they're giving it a width of 100%. Okay, and then over here it looks like we are gonna, in the JavaScript, they are making it so you can scroll with the mouse. They are working on that. By refreshing the page, I still can't. Yeah. I did see a translate feature added. I saw that working in the live preview when the site refreshed. But we're not gonna see too much just yet. Obviously, they don't want to have background repeating on here. They probably want to actually add a static image. Yeah. You could make a questionnaire asking familiarity with X concept 1 through 10. Yeah, we are gonna. That's actually a good point. We are gonna have like a test they're gonna take, and that's gonna determine their skill level. They're gonna earn points based on how they score. But you can also earn points in other ways too. It's not just a test, but the test is definitely a huge way to earn points. So the more points you have, the more you know, the more eligible you are to play. So yeah, over here. Okay, they're finally styling the anchor tags, and they're just styling the anchors tags inside of the horizontal scroll bar, which makes sense. And they have it to where they're targeting the hover, active, and focus. And visited. Nice. Okay, so red team is doing a fantastic job on their CSS. Yeah. Whereas, okay, I mean, blue team's not doing bad at all. They're doing good. So the nav slide, but they're using float, which is interesting, especially with adding a position fixed. So those seem like two different ways to go about it. Because the moment you put position fixed, it's just going to essentially override your float. Yeah. So, and that nav slide is going to be their obviously their navigation bar. But they're also using their nav slide to make it so you can click on each of the links and have it send you there. So this is the nav slide. Look at that. It actually works. It takes you to those different. Doesn't work perfect. Actually, it does work good. The only thing is they just need to make it so that it looks better, essentially. So they're gonna need to make this have a width, because currently the nav slide does not have a width, so it's kind of auto on everything right now. Whereas on the red team, we do see a width of 10 VW set on their nav bar, so that's going to allow that's gonna define how big this is allowed to be. And the way they're doing it over here is they're not really worried about these links to be used to, you know, send them to the next slide. The scroll mouse still doesn't work when you're trying to scroll, but they do have a, whoa, I'm pretty sure they don't want that. Unless they do, I mean, if they want that effect, it looks kind of cool, I'm not gonna lie. But I'm sure this was an accident. Completely unintentional. But if that's the look they're going for, then it looks nice. I mean, they're pretty much ready to have this snap perfectly. I mean, you can tell their CSS properties were set so nicely to where all they have to do is make it in JavaScript to where when you scroll with the mouse wheel, it'll shoot you over to where this image is touching the left of the to the right of the nav bar. It looks good, guys. It looks very good. What would make this look better, in my opinion, is if they had the image touch 100% of the height as well. But then again, it might not work. No. They're probably not going to do that because of the repeating background. They're going to want to have it to where there's space. Yeah, they're going to want to have that. This looks good though, guys. Red team is looking very nice. What about blue team? What have they accomplished? Okay, they still have these background images, and I'm assuming this is... It's not really a pattern though. The objective states that it needs to be a pattern, a repeating pattern. And I hope this is not what they are going to use, because obviously it doesn't look good. It says repeating background. It doesn't say pattern. But, I mean, you would think that... I mean, design is important in this game, so you're not going to want to do something like this, in my opinion. Okay. Hang on, guys. If you guys want to see the website for yourself, the website is going to be, you type, there's commands for it. So we have watch blue, watch red, and we have watch code. Okay guys, we do have a problem. Our timer actually reset. So this is the first time this ever happened. Unfortunately, we're gonna have to start logging the time manually. So here's what I'll do. If anybody remembers where the timer was last, 15 minutes were left. Okay, so I'm actually gonna start the timer at 15 minutes exactly, and I'm just gonna have to update you guys on the time as we go along. Awesome. Okay, so we're gonna create a... I'm gonna start it at 15 minutes right now. Even though 15 minutes were left when PHP Joe saw it, we're still gonna give him 15 minutes. So right now we're at 14 minutes and 53 seconds left on the clock. Alright. Okay, so let's see what JavaScript is working on the red team. Looks like they're working on their translate, and this might be where we see the actual mouse wheel work. And they're making the mouse wheel pretty much run this function right here. So when you when the browser detects that the mouse wheel has been scrolled, it's going to run this function. And then in the function we have this function, and that's going to run this function, and that's going to make it so we translate. And it looks like we're translating 100%. which makes sense. And let's refresh the page and see. It might not work because actually, I don't know if 100% is the way to go about it actually. We'll see how they figure it out. We do have a comment saying not working. Okay. I'm personally a fan of when this image was aligned with the navigation bar, but now we see like there is that spacing. Actually, it's not completely even either. It looks a bit different on some of these images. No, is it? Yeah, it does look. Actually, I'm not sure. It's just the first one is not actually touching the left. Or no, it's okay, I understand how it's supposed to work. Okay, so there is margin on both sides. Actually, that doesn't look bad at all. And what they're probably going to want to do is add a background to those text. So what I mean by that is, for example, let's go somewhere where it makes sense. For example, right here. Let's open inspect element. So this H1, actually, is it just their H1? No, it's this div. Actually, in their HTML, they're gonna have to put in a new div. They're gonna have to contain this H1 and paragraph tag in its own div, so that way you can add a background to everything. But in theory, this is what I meant. So background black, or you could do 000, and then color white, right? And then you're gonna want to do the same with paragraph. But like I said, they should probably contain them both in its own background. I mean tag, so that we can just do this in one property. And that way you want to have it to where it's looking like this. See how it's kind of separated? And they could even do like a, opacity on this background, on both backgrounds. And then have padding and all that cool stuff. So that way when you're, and since they don't have since I did it, I essentially inline styled on that specific paragraph, on the specific H1 and paragraph tag. So that's why we only see it here and we don't see those styles being applied on all of these. Let's refresh the site and see if anything different has happened. They do have that background in there, guys. So if they're planning on completing all 5 objectives, then they are going to be able to do the bonus objective, and the bonus objective is to simply make that background animate and move in any direction they want. So that's something to look out for. The scroll mouse is still not working. I wonder if they're going to be able to get that working before the game ends here. How much time do we have left on the clock? We are at 10 minutes and 51 seconds. 10 minutes and 58, 10 minutes and 45 seconds left on the clock now. What can these guys accomplish in that amount of time? We're going to have to find out. Let's see blue team. Let's see what they have done. Do we see any style adjustments? We do. Very interesting. Very interesting. So in their JavaScript, they're going to need to make it so that, dude, they have a lot. Their code looks very complicated compared to Red's, and it looks like we're using jQuery. I'm not too big of a JavaScript guy. I'm still learning, so it's really cool to see stuff like this. Okay, so let's see. They do have arrows. Do these arrows work? Where did those arrows go? So they're targeting the arrow. Right, okay. Let's see. I'm gonna actually see if the arrow is not visible due to styling. Yeah, so we have this arrow right here. Yeah, and we're gonna make the I do see a width defined, but let's define it ourselves. Okay, so we don't see the width, and here, let's do this. Top 0, bottom 0, right 0, left 0. Yeah, I'm just not seeing this. They're gonna need to sort that out because I can't actually test if this works or not. Okay. So let's find that arrow in their thing. I don't know if... Okay. They probably... Okay, so they have the arrow. Let's find it in their HTML. The arrow. Okay. I see the arrow. Okay, so the arrow class. Here's what I'm thinking. They probably should have this arrow class be its own, have its own div. So currently we see it structured in such a way where we have the arrow inside of this div tag, and this div tag that it's inside of is the white view div. What I'm thinking they should do is, since we're doing position fixed, they should just have it to where, you know, they have their a separate div class. It doesn't even have to be inside of this wrapper. It doesn't even have to be. It could be, as long as it's inside of the body tag, they could just have a div class for arrow. They could, you know, just arrow and then have, you know, these styles added to it. They might want to change this actually. But I mean, okay, so how much time is left on the clock? We have 7 minutes and 13 seconds. There's a lot that needs to be done, guys, on both teams. Okay, do they have the mouse wheel working yet? They don't. And they do have some height issues. You know, it goes up and down. I'm sure they're going to want to remove that. They have extra space on the bottom. Let's find out where that's coming from. It's probably from this margin. Top right bottom. They probably want 2 VW at the on this. That's the bottom target. Let's see if that goes away now. Yep, that went away. So in order for them to fix that spacing issue, as you guys can see, they're probably going to want to make it 2 VW all around right here. This is their issue. They have 4 VW on their bottom, and that's what's giving that extra space. So 6 minutes and 4 seconds left on the clock. 6 minutes left on the clock. Yeah, Freak Spot, you are not disconnected. The chat is just very focused on the game. It's very intense. That's why they're not saying anything. So we have these selectors for each of these presentations, but I don't really know how they're going to utilize it, unless they're going to maybe have a different background or something. We'll see. I personally think they should pick a different background image that's going to repeat, because this background image, I don't know, it doesn't really make the website look good. I mean, they may not be focused on the design so much as they are focused on the objectives. Okay, so it looks like this right arrow is working, but the back arrow is not. So let's see how this works. Now, it works somewhat. It doesn't work exactly. Yeah. It somewhat works. They're gonna need to fix that. Okay, let's look back over here on the red team and see what they've accomplished. Okay, they changed the scroll speed by a lot. The mouse finally works. So I'm glad they were able to sort that out. They still need to fix that margin for top and bottom, because it is creating that extra spacing. But anyways, yeah, they finally got their mouse wheel working, which is awesome. But now they just need to get their scroll jacking working if they want to have it to where they can, you know, and what scroll jacking is, for those of you who don't know, it's where when you scroll, instead of doing this, when you scroll, it'll shoot you to, sorry, that was by a lot. Okay, it'll shoot you over here, for instance. and then your next scroll will shoot you over here. You guys get the idea here. And then also, yeah, there's different objectives they need to complete. Let me read off all the objectives to you guys who don't know. Okay, so the theme here is skateboarding. The objectives are to create a horizontal scrolling website, so both teams have that. They need to add presentation slides without using a presentation library. Okay, they need to add scroll jacking and full screen with animation. Okay, and then we do see some messages over here. For those of you who don't know, Jay, Lauren, handling JavaScript on the red team, was not able to connect to TeamSpeak, so they are compensating for that using the chat within C9 environment, and they are definitely communicating with one another. But anyways, the fourth objective is to have a side navigation bar to the left, and we see that on both teams. Well, actually, on the blue team, no, their navigation bar is still not to the left. Okay, now it is. Now it is. Wonderful. And their last objective is to add a repeating background. Finally, if they complete all 5 objectives, then they are eligible to complete the bonus objective, which is to animate a repeating background seamlessly in any direction. Guys, there's 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock. Can you guys let both teams know there is 2 minutes and 30 seconds left on the clock? That way, these guys know that they have to wrap it up very quickly here. And so from this point on, guys, I'm actually not going to refresh the site so that you guys can. Oh goodness. So that it'll be a surprise by the time we're done. Guys, look at this over here. We have, like, not kidding, like 5 lines of code in their JavaScript over here on the red team. But it's doing more than their blue team, from what I could tell. I mean, look at all this jQuery inside of their team on Team Blue. They have a bunch of stuff, bunch of complicated logic in here. Hopefully they're able to sort this out before the game ends. And we are at a minute and 30 seconds left on the clock. And now during this time, teams should really be careful because if they screw something up, if, for example, the clock is like at 10 seconds and they're like editing something and then the clock hits 0 and they forget a semicolon or they forget a bracket or quotation marks, something very simple, or they even forget in their HTML to close a tag, then they're screwed. So, yeah. My mistake, guys. I meant JavaScript in Team Blue. Thanks for pointing that out. Okay, guys, 50 seconds left on the clock. 45 seconds left on the clock. We're getting really close here, guys, and I do see a lot of action going on. Not so much on the CSS. They kind of just froze on that. But I do see work being done right now in real time from both teams. So they are making those last minute changes. Okay, guys, 15 seconds left on the clock. 14, 13, 12, 11, 10, 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1. We're done, guys. Shut down their documents. This has been an awesome game. Let's see. Let's give the teams a moment to come back out of their C9 environment. We're gonna actually refresh their website. There is a way for you guys to view the website for yourself. So watch blue, watch red. I recommend you guys do look at the websites in your own browser. Let's refresh and see what both teams have. Okay, whatever they have is what they have, okay? I'm going to be right back, guys. I have to get a coffee refill, and then we're going to go over what both teams are like. Alright guys, I'm back. Let's do this. So let's start with the blue team. We're gonna go over the objectives. Okay, so we're gonna not look at the red team right now. So the blue team. Okay, the first objective was to create a horizontal scrolling website. Moderators, please keep track of what objectives they get. So check this out. On the red team, on the blue team, they do have a horizontal scrolling website. So they do get a point for that. They need to create presentation slides without a presentation library. So they do get another point for that because they do have presentation slides. Okay, they need to create scroll jacking. They don't get a point for that because I don't see any scroll jacking in here. They also need to add a side navigation bar to the left. They do get a point for that. And they need to add a repeating background. They do have a repeating background, so they have 4 points on the blue team. Now we're gonna go and head on over to the red team and see what they have. So the first objective is to create a horizontal scrolling website. They do have a horizontal scrolling website. They don't have, I mean, it's really slow. I'm sure they were trying to get that scroll jacking working. I was watching them. So they do get a point for a horizontal scrolling website. They also get a point for presentation slides because they do have presentation slides. They need to add scroll jacking, but they don't get a point for that. They need to add a side navigation bar to the left. They do have that. And they need a repeating background. They do have that, as you guys can see in the background. They don't, since they didn't get that scroll jacking to work, they weren't able to be eligible for the bonus points, so that's probably why they didn't bother with the actual bonus objective. Okay guys, so they are tied right now. They are tied. Now let's get into it right now. We're gonna actually vote on design. At this point in time, guys, I recommend you guys look at these websites for yourself in your own browser while I get the poll created, because the best way to find out which team has the best design is for you guys to be able to, you know, see it in your own browser, you know, scale it, do whatever you want with the website to see. I mean, design is everything. So let's start by resizing blue teams and see how it adjusts. So we do have a very the navigation bar to the left is fixed, so that's not adjusting to the screen width, but we do have all the text kind of adjusting. The video's not adjusting. Okay, so that's what that's all about. Now we're gonna look on the blue team. When I resize, what happens? Okay, so the navigation bar is everything's adjusting except for the text inside of there. That could have probably been solved with adding VW inside of the text font as well, font size. But okay, so the background's not adjusting. The text is. Everything inside of the text is adjusting quite beautifully. So that's that. Okay. Anyways, we're gonna vote right now, guys. Which team has the best design? Is it Team Blue or Team Red? And all you have to do is type red or blue in the chat. So which team has the best design? It's red or blue. And again, I encourage you guys to look at these websites in your own browser. And in order to do that, we do have commands. It's watch red and watch blue. Watch red, watch blue. I'm already typing it out for you. Oh, crap. Misspelled it. Alright, so votes are coming in right now. It's either blue or red. Place your votes, guys. If you guys are watching on the Syntag channel, if you look up at your URL and you see twitch.tv/Syntag, you are in the wrong channel. Head on over to twitch.tv/DevWars. This is where everybody is at. This is where the chat is happening. So if you're trying to vote right now, it's not going to work if you're typing in the Syntag chat. So make sure you are in the correct channel. Also, okay, so we're going to be voting for just one more minute, guys. One more minute. Also, make sure, if you guys are watching and you aren't logged in, I recommend you log in. If you don't have an account, I recommend you create an account and log in, because That way you are able to participate in the chat, and not only in the chat with discussions, but you'll also be able to vote. So we're just gonna be voting for just 30 more seconds here. All you need to do to vote is just type red or blue in the chat. We are gonna lock the votes in just 15 seconds here. 15 seconds, we're gonna lock the votes. The winner of this will get 2 points. And 3, 2, 1, it's over. Okay guys, red team did win in the best design. Okay, now they do get 2 points. So now the last thing we're gonna vote on is which team has the best functionality. Okay. Alright guys, so I'm gonna start with the blue team. They do have these arrow buttons. It's kind of hard to tell, but when you press them, it'll shoot you to the next frame somewhat. I mean, it's not, I'm sure it's not the way they wanted it to work, the way it's working for me right now. But it's supposed to, I'd imagine, send you to each frame. This arrow button, it doesn't even look like an arrow button, but I know it is based on the way it's written. Okay, and then they also have these up here that's supposed to send you to these different, this navigation bar. You guys can't see it, but there is a navigation bar, and when you click on them, you guys can see that it actually does send you to these different, it doesn't work perfectly, and that's probably because of the browser size I'm viewing or something. But yeah, I mean, it does, it's doing something, so that's that. And then when you scroll, this is kind of what it looks like. They do have a vertical scroll bar. Okay, so that's that, even though you're scrolling horizontally. So that's the extent of blue team. Now let's check out red team. When you click these don't do anything, and that's fine. That there was no, they didn't have to do that. They don't have a vertical scroll bar. Instead, they have a horizontal scroll bar, which makes sense. It makes more sense. Okay, they don't have scroll jacking working. They do have a pretty scroll speed that it was adjusted. The scroll speed was adjusted in their JavaScript, I imagine, to make this scroll this way. But we did have their Jay tell us that it's different on Mac. Okay, and then let's see. I mean, I don't see any other functionality in here other than the work they've done in here. I mean, we did see they have like 15 lines of code in their JavaScript compared to blue team, 32 lines of code, more than double. Actually, just exactly double the amount of code in their JavaScript. But yeah, so that's that. I mean, that's what we're gonna have to work with, guys. Yeah, neither have actual scroll jacking. Yeah, so their slides. They do have beautiful slides. Okay, guys, here we go. We're gonna vote on which team has the best functionality, and you're gonna have to vote based on what we have here. So is it blue team or red team? Functionality meaning how the site works, how good it works. Is the site functional? You guys could define it however you want. It's blue or red. We're gonna be voting for 2 minutes here. It's blue or red. Yeah, so the code between red and blue team, You guys can see it for yourself in the watch code command. But functionality is it's normal. Functionality doesn't matter really about the code. Well, it does matter, but it all depends. I mean, for the user who's using the website, is it functional for them? Which site is more functional? We're gonna be voting for just 35 more seconds, guys. 35 more seconds. All you have to do is type red or blue in the chat. Are we gonna have a tie? It looks like we're gonna have a tie over here. 25 more seconds. I don't know, guys. Competitors can vote, yeah. There's no rules against it. It looks like we're gonna have a tie, guys. Yep. So blue team won, guys. It is a tie. I don't have anything prepared for a tiebreaker. Do you guys want to do a tiebreaker of code vote? Code vote for tiebreaker. This is the first ever tie on DevWars. Rock, paper, scissors. Okay, we're gonna do a code vote, guys. We used to do this back in the day, so it was based on code tidiness. Okay, so let's start with blue team. So we have basic HTML structure. Guys, I encourage you guys to look at the code for yourself in watch code with the watch code command. There's a link that's outputted. You guys are going to be able to see the website for yourself. So blue team HTML, we're looking at that right now. They have their standard stuff. They got their doc type, their HTML, their head, and then they have their body. Everything inside of their body. They're utilizing nav tags. They have the stretch div class. I don't know what's in there. Everything's indented properly. They're utilizing article tags and section tags. Nice. They're importing down here next to the body close tag, which is awesome. Okay, now let's look at their CSS on the blue team. Everything looks indented correctly. You guys, I'm just gonna be scrolling through this, guys. You guys are gonna be able to, you guys are gonna have to see for yourself what looks good or not. I'm just scrolling through it. Okay, now let's look at their JavaScript on the blue team. Okay, wow. This looks very complicated. So I'm just kind of scrolling through. I don't see any comments or anything like that. But this is the JavaScript. We have 32 lines of code in here. That's incredible. It looks good. Okay. Oops, did not mean to do that. Okay. Now let's look over here at the red team. So this is their HTML. So we have the doc type, we have their HTML tag, their head tag, they have all their imports, standard stuff, body, everything's imported correctly. They're utilizing nav tags. They have divs. Everything's looking good, guys. It definitely looks clean. Okay, now let's check out their CSS. Okay, so I do notice for styles that don't have more than 2 statements, they have it in its own line, except for this right here. I do see a comment in here. That's the red team CSS right there. And then here's their JavaScript. Pretty simple, straightforward. Nothing inside of this function, so they essentially don't even need that. Pretty simple stuff here, guys. So here we go. We're gonna vote up based on code tidiness. Which team has the best code we're just gonna vote code. We're gonna leave it pretty vague. You guys decide which team has the best code. Is it red team or blue team? Type red or blue in the chat, and your vote will be accounted for live on the screen. Okay, so we're gonna start the clock at 2 minutes. Okay, so 1 minute and 50 seconds left on the clock. Is it team blue or red? Red or blue? Which team has the best code? A lot of votes coming in for blue. I encourage you guys to check out the code for yourself. Watch code. That's the command. I know it's kind of vague what best code means, but the definition of best code is up to you guys. You guys, however you guys interpret it. I would say that code tidiness should be incorporated in there. So we're gonna be voting for just 1 minute and 20 seconds. Actually, 1 minute and 5 seconds. That's what I meant. Here we go. So just 1 more minute left on the clock, and then we're gonna close this poll. Guys, place your votes. Is it blue or red? Which team has the best code? All you have to do is type red or blue in the chat. Okay, guys, just 35 seconds left on the clock. Here we go. We have 30 seconds left on the clock. So place your votes. Is it blue or red? Okay, we have 5 seconds left on the clock. 4, 3, 2, 1, and 0. It looks like to me, guys, blue team is gonna take the victory here. Congratulations, blue team. That was a very close game, guys. This was not the second game. This was just the first game. Okay, guys, so we're gonna have a party over here on the blue side. Congratulations, blue team. Did a fantastic job staying into the game. So, guys, congratulate them on their win. You guys voted for the winner there. Alright, so stick around, guys. We're actually gonna have an interview with both teams on their victory. Okay. So I'm gonna turn down the volume right now, just a little bit for the music, and this is gonna allow it so that we can hear the teams on both on TeamSpeak. Okay. All right, here we go. So I'm popping into the blue team right now. What's happening, blue team? How you guys doing?
Nothing much.
Awesome. So congratulations on the win. I do hear feedback from one of your. I don't know who it is.
I think it's
trying to improve.
Yeah.
Oh, okay.
He's trying to improve.
Yeah, he's trying to improve here.
Yeah.
All right, well, guys, congratulations. I mean, so is there anything? What was the biggest struggle that you guys had during the game? I'm kind of curious.
We don't have any clue about it. The CSS file just disappeared and appeared back.
Yeah.
I think we're the first guys who met the server freeze, almost.
Oh, man. So were you able to resume working on your CSS during the game, though, after you guys got it resolved?
Yeah, we got it resolved almost at half.
Awesome. I'm glad our moderators were able to get to that on time. But, wow, that's a lot of JavaScript you have in your code, man. That's a lot.
Well, thanks. I guess.
What happened as far as, like, was it just not enough time? Was the HTML not structured in the way you needed it to be? What was the reasoning behind why you weren't able to get the scroll jacking working?
We just didn't have enough time.
Just not enough time. Yeah, 60 minutes is definitely not enough.
Yeah, I think it would have taken a lot more time.
Absolutely. So we do have a bunch of viewers who are watching you. Is there anything you guys want to say to the viewers?
Thanks for watching.
Thanks for watching.
Yeah.
Thanks for loading.
And thanks
we'll
for
be
voting.
back.
Yeah, also that.
Thanks guys for playing. I appreciate
Yeah,
it. Hopefully you guys stick around in this for the second game. It's going to be a 1v1.
Yeah, sure.
All right, peace out. What's happening, red team?
Hey.
Hey, Doug.
So guys, wow, that was very close. You guys definitely had a very clean design. If I were to have placed the vote, I'm not allowed to vote, but if I were to have voted, I would definitely say you guys have clean code. I can see that. It looks very, very clean. Not to say that blue team doesn't have clean code, but just in my own opinion, I just want to let you guys know you guys did a fantastic job. And I can see you guys still managed to communicate very well, even though you guys didn't have Jay in TeamSpeak. I saw you guys were going back and forth. So it didn't seem like that was a problem for you guys. So what was the biggest struggle for you guys during the game?
Well, I think the biggest struggle is what you already mentioned, where Jay wasn't able to use his mic. So we had to do a lot of there was a chat room in Cloud9 apparently, so we chatted in there.
So as for the JavaScript, were you able to figure out why the scroll jacking wasn't working?
Do you want me to speak for Jay or?
Oh yeah, that's right. I'm sorry, I forgot. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, I have no way of asking him.
I know there was a lot of struggle with the scroll jacking, with being part of the library for it. Like 10 minutes left in the game.
Oh man.
And he actually said in the chat that he managed to do that after the game.
Oh man, dang, yeah, I mean 60 minutes is really not enough time to do all this, but you guys managed to complete 4 objectives in that amount of time, so that is a huge accomplishment, I think. And if you guys would have been able to just get that 5th objective in there, that scroll jacking, that would have enabled you to easily get 6 points in your objectives, and that would have prevented the whole tiebreaker.